Welcome back. Picking up on international updates, let's get you more. And as far as the statement that has been reposted by President Trump. Now, on his Truth social media post, where he seems to have sparked another controversy. And in the recent days, his timeline has been dominated by Strait of Hormuz crisis, the Iran-US conflict. But now the focus seems to have shifted when it comes to domestic issues. President Trump has now gone back on the issue of birthright citizenship. Now, just months ago, Trump signed an executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship for children born in the United States to undocumented immigrants and visitors. And now he shared a clip of an interview by an American radio host on its social media platform that has triggered another controversy. President Trump seems to be amplifying on what can be called as far as his anti-India stance is concerned. Of course, he's also named China in that post. But in this reposted clip, he seems to be pushing a hardline argument on birthright citizenship, saying that immigrants exploit the system by arriving late in pregnancy so that their children are automatically granted citizenship. And he's further claimed that migrant families from countries like hellhole countries like India and China are reshaping the American society, calling both the countries to be hellholes. Well, in the meantime, as far as reactions that have been coming in, we'll put out the Iranian side. Of course, when it comes to the current crisis that is now being witnessed, Iran now seems to have now taken on Trump and is now backing India. As far as the Iranian mission that seems to be taking a swipe on President Trump and has now hurled this cultural detox jibe and has now issued saying that first visit India and then give out a message. And as far as Iranian embassies across the globe are concerned, they have been taking on President Trump. They have been trolling President Trump. But this time, as far as in Mumbai is concerned, we are looking at the Iranian embassy. That seems to have now put out a counter to President Trump, saying that maybe, someone should actually book a one-way cultural detox for President Trump. Because let's put out exactly what has been the Iran in Mumbai on what they have to say as far as President Trump's, in Hindi as well, that they have put out their statement, saying that maybe someone should book a one-way cultural detox for Mr. Trump, might just reduce the random Bakwaas. Also saying that kabhi India aake dekho, phir bolna. And they now seems to giving a suggestion that at least he should come India. Of course, he's been to India before. And if we remember those pictures with Melania Trump that had clicked outside, the Taj Mahal, well, he seems to not have a better understanding of what India is all about. Now, India has also responded, but very cautiously, because what we are now looking at as far as this controversy surrounding President Trump's remarks is concerned, where he is referred to India as a hellhole. The MEA, however, has acknowledged the reports and saying that we'll put it to that just for now. The MEA spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal indicated that New Delhi is aware of the developments, but not chose to say anything further.
We have seen some reports. That is where I leave it. We have seen some reports. That is where I leave it. We have seen some reports. That is where I leave it. We have seen some reports. That is where I leave it.
Now, after this statement, to leave it just to it, not react more, the MEA has come out with another fresh statement. And we'll be putting out as far as what they have now been said, because they have acknowledged President Trump's Truth social post that he seems to have reposted. And as far as his anger that seems to be directed at certain individuals coming from certain countries to which he has referred India to be a hellhole, that immediately gives a birthright citizenship to a child which is born in the United States of America. So as far as the MEA and its latest reports have been saying that seen comments and subsequent responses also by the US Embassy, and the remarks, however, are uninformed and they are inappropriate and also in a poor taste. However, they do not reflect the India-US relation, which has long been based on mutual respect and also on shared interest. Now, this is where, as far as treading cautiously, because these are diplomatic affairs nonetheless, and both sides cannot be caught on the wrong side of each other. So as far as the MEA spokesperson acknowledging that, yes, there have been certain reports on part of President Trump, which he has referred India to be a hellhole. However, he believes that these, statements that have been made is because that he is uninformed, he doesn't have much of an knowledge, and however, agreeing that it is in poor taste, but they do not reflect when it comes to India-US relationship. To which now let's talk about the political heat that has now gone up over this hellhole row. Well, MEA has now called the repost to be uninformed, inappropriate, and however, opposition back home in the country has called this to be a muted response, saying that Iranian mission has backed India in a much stronger way, that actually India should have taken a stand against President Trump. Now, the war of words seems to have now escalated to another level. We are looking at the opposition leaders there who seems to be lauding and praising the Iranian embassy, because Iran has got nothing to do with here as far as India-US relations are concerned. But because its interests lie against United States, then it seems to be, laying its position and its point of view. When we saw the Iranian embassy there in Mumbai giving out an opinion saying that President Trump should actually come to visit Mumbai or India for a change. So as far as posting on that Iran and Mumbai, we just put out, what they have to say on that response coming in from Priyanka Chaturvedi, saying that while India's MEA saw a muted response to the Hellhole comment, well, here is Iran High Commission, but rather it is Iranian embassy in Mumbai giving their response to Donald Trump. So she seems to be using the fire emoji, so, in a way saying that it's been a fiery response, and that is on coming from a country which actually has nothing to do when it comes to Iran-US relations are concerned. But again, India's foreign policy is something, Nyamika, good morning, often by the opposition has been questioned. The doubts have been raised, and even to this, because India's foreign policy also lies at a stance when we are looking at good relations that we share between the conflicting and the warring parties. And as far as the US is also concerned, we already have a team there which is now chalking out the trade deal.
Well, yes, but the politics has also been played out by the opposition parties, as this is not the first time when the Congress and the other opposition parties have made this allegation that the foreign policy of our country has completely failed. And once again, the jibe has been taken over Prime Minister Narendra Modi by calling him a weak Prime Minister, as well as the compromise jibe has also been taken, as we have seen that how the reactions have been given by various opposition leaders, be it the Congress President Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge or Supriya Shene or Priyanka Chaturvedi. All of these leaders, that's why there is no strong response which has been given by the government of India.
Yes,
after.
we're not able to hear you clearly, Nyamika, so putting an end to that conversation, but thank you very much, because we've understood exactly when it comes to the opposition. However, they have been taking on the government, calling it that this is a very thanda, very muted response that is coming from the government of India. But there has been a lot of back and forth when it comes to the United States is also concerned, because now it had, in a way, dialed down the controversy surrounding President Trump's repost. And responding to the backlash, the US Embassy spokesperson has also clarified, saying that President Trump holds India in very high regard, describing it as a valued partner with a good friend at the top. And this is now the clarification that is now coming in, where President Trump himself has been calling that he has great relations with Prime Minister Modi. And of course, to him, India is also a great country. We're going to head into a very short break, back with the latest headlines on the Morning News Hour.